Tonight, the Ghana Journalist Association gives the Ghana National Fire Service a 14-day ultimatum to make public the findings of investigations into the attack on a Class FM journalist or face a media blacklist and possible civil action.
We are giving the Fire Service a 14-day ultimatum to act on this request, failing which will take drastic measures against them, including and not limited to blacklisting.
Details as the GJA petitions the IGP calling for action against individuals threatening journalists covering the Boko conflict, including Joy News' Albert Sori, who have been targeted on social media.
Also tonight is a clash of science and religion. Data against prophecy. Bawumia versus Kennedy as the battle for the MPP Flagbearership peaks.
We have spoken to people randomly, and this is the voice of the people.
Waba.
Ken Waba.
We'll hear from the various camps.
They are just feedbacks. They are not necessarily absolute.
Delegates, in all fairness, on the D-Day might throw away religion, tribe, and everything.
The real popes are all the prophecies which are all over will be tested on 31st.
Also tonight, freshly restored MP Fokbandai reveals how he was targeted by the NDC as part of a plot to strip him of his seat as he prepares to return to Parliament next week with a huge caution about his relationship with NDC colleagues. You want to stay with us for an exclusive.
And in business, improve economic conditions and slow inflation with forces Bank of Ghana to cut policy rate by some significant margin to 15.5%.
And in sports, the UEFA Champions League takes center stage tonight with Antoine Semenyo's Manchester City taking on Galatasaray in the final round of the league phase. More details in the next 45 minutes.
Tonight, the Ghana Journalist Association has issued a strong warning to the Ghana National Fire Service to make public within 14 days the investigative findings that led to the interdiction of officers involved in the attack on the Class FM journalist in Kaswa. Failure to comply, the association says, will attract a media blacklist and possible civil legal action. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, President of the association, Albert Kwabanat Jumfor, said attacks on journalists are becoming arbitrary and require immediate and firm action.
A public release of the investigation findings and sanctions by the Ghana National Fire Service. A public release of the investigation findings and sanctions by the Ghana National Fire Service. We are giving the Fire Service a 14 days ultimatum. We are giving the Fire Service a 14-day ultimatum to act on this request, failing which will take drastic measures against them, including and not limited to blacklisting. Failing which will take drastic measures against them, including and not limited to blacklisting. The immediate release of the PRO of the Ghana National Fire Service. This cannot be compromised. We can't work with him. Failure to do so, the GJA will have to take a position and advise our members and all media practitioners in the country as such on our position.
You know, Gemma, we've been covering the Boko conflict. One of our correspondents who's been at the forefront of bringing us the very latest on Boko, Albert Sori, was threatened by faceless individuals, we believe, from Boko. This has now come to the attention of the GJA. They have petitioned the Inspector General of Police and they're making some demands.
The Ghana Journalists Association is gravely alarmed by death threats, incitement to violence, and imminent attacks against journalists in the Upper East region, particularly the Upper East Regional Chairman of the GJA, Mr. Albert Sori, in connection with their professional coverage of the protracted Boko conflict. The association considers these threats reckless, criminal, and deeply dangerous, not only to the lives of journalists, but also to public order and national security. Journalists covering the Boko conflict have been openly labeled enemies, subjected to coordinated online abuse, and threatened with death through social media posts, voice notes, and other forms of digital incitement. The National Executive, as formally, and I want to state here, we have formally petitioned the Inspector General of Police, IGP, on threat against journalists in the Upper East region for its intervention and immediate action.
My colleague Fatal was at that news conference, joins us in the studio now. Fatal, recently there have been another attack. This time, apparently by the military on some journalists, one of them belonging to the stables of TV3.
Absolutely.
What is the GJA saying about this?
So, Evans, the GJA is calling for immediate investigation into this alleged attack on the TV3 reporter, as you just said, in the Northeast region. In fact, they described the incident as unfortunate and unjustified. And in fact, during the press conference, they made a lot of explanations in relation to this particular incident. They said that the journalist was attacked unprovoked.
You know, the subject of the state agents, particularly security services, assaulting journalists, is a recurring theme. Recently, we saw the fire service agents who assaulted a journalist. Our own colleague, Carlos, last year was assaulted by soldiers when he was simply doing his job. And then we've seen this TV3 case also. The president recently has been speaking about this, including the spokesperson for the government, Felix Kwachifosu. They are asking the president now to take strong action.
Exactly, Evan. So the call on the president, initially they said that the president had promised to meet with the GJA and that of the various heads of the security agencies. So they are saying that this is the right time for the president to meet with them because the attacks against journalists are becoming rampant. We can take a listen to him.
Quite recently, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, promised to arrange a meeting with the security chiefs, that's security couples, security chiefs and the executives of the Ghana Journalists Association to help ease tension between the media and the security agencies. Mr. President, our distinguished member, a proud member of the GJA, this is the right time for that important meeting, given the recent disturbing development involving some security agencies. The time to call for such meeting is now. The president is a member of the GJA, as I've said, and has consistently demonstrated his interest in the welfare of journalists throughout his political career. We therefore believe he will convene the meeting as soon as possible to help ease tensions.
Jem, thankfully, one of our colleagues, Albert Sorry, who has been targeted in the last few days, joins us on the line. Albert, thank you for the great work you're doing in the Upper East region. What happened? I understand that you were threatened directly. Hello, Albert.
Hello, Evans.
Yes. Well, what happened?
Yes, so we have a media platform for the region. And normally we would share story ideas there. As the regional chairman of the GJA, I received information last Saturday, the Saturday before this one that just passed, that there were some trucks that were stranded because normally they would provide escorts for them to go to Boku. And so they were looking for the escorts, and the driver said that the escorts were not coming and they had been there for some time. And so I just shared this information and asked my colleagues on the platform that they could verify and see if there was something that they could report about because I was not close to the location. That was just all about it. Unfortunately, somehow the information got out that I was facilitating escort for one of the factions in the conflict. And so those who didn't want me to do that picked this and they distorted it with a lot of labeling and accused me of taking money and all of that. And they posted my picture on the social media and called for members of their faction to deal with me because what I was doing was going to lead to members of their faction being attacked. And so on that day, there were a lot of comments under the post, and one even said that he knew where I lived and that he could take me out at any time. So there were a lot of insults and a lot of attacks under the post as well. Other people shared it on their Facebook walls as well. So basically, that was how it happened.
And Albert, this must have been a very traumatic experience for you. We've heard what the GJA is deciding to do on this. This definitely helps with the pressure they're bringing to bear on the IGP to step in and help address this immediately.
Exactly. We had to go and also lay a complaint to the Upper East Regional Police. In fact, the regional commander was very helpful in giving advice as to what to do and also helped me to take some security measures in place. But the general sense you get, even from the members of the GJA in the region or journalists generally, is that they are becoming afraid of even reporting on this Boko matter because you are basically doing your job and thinking that you are helping or contributing to bringing peace to the area. Unfortunately, anything you report can easily be misconstrued in another way, and it will lead to attack. I am not the only one who has been targeted. There were several other people who have been, attacked and called names, and people even threatened to deal with them, and so on and so forth. So it puts you in a situation where everywhere you are moving, you have to be extra cautious. Every little thing that looks suspicious, you are somewhat triggered because you feel that anybody can harm you at any time. So, the call by the GJA president is exactly what we all want to hear. And we are hoping that it leads to some solutions, because one thing is that they use fake social media names, and so it's even difficult for you to track the people who are doing these things. So the call should also be for the cyber security to do something about these pseudonymous accounts that people are using to perpetrate these threats against us.
Albert, thank you very much, and thanks for the great work you're doing. The IGP obviously is involved now in trying to get to the bottom of this. Keep safe. Jem.
Evan, so the General Secretary of the Ghana Journalists Association, Dominic Logie, is on the line to us. Dominic, welcome to News 9. Now, you heard my colleague from the Upper East region detailing the threats that he has been receiving concerning the issue in Boko. How worrying is this for the association?
We are worried because this Boko conflict, you can't do resolution or promote peace in that area without the work of journalists. And so if journalists are working in the region where there's conflict and factions have decided to issue threats or attack journalists in that region, it will be difficult for this conflict to be resolved, because we also have a role to play in peace building. And so we were really worried when our regional chairman, Albert, reached out to give us a report of what has been happening in the region, and particularly what he has received as the regional chairman, having gotten an information and sharing the information with his colleagues to respond to the call for people to report on the stranded trucks that are supposed to go or come from Boku, this other side to this side. So we are not happy, and when he sent his report, we duly forwarded the report and attached a cover letter to the IGP. I personally submitted that to the IGP's office for actions to be taken to ensure sustained protection of journalists in that region. We wouldn't want a situation where after threats have been issued and formal reports have been given out or reported to the police and nothing is done. That would be a direct failure of protection. So we are asking the police to take action and go behind the people who are issuing the threats, get them arrested, and prosecute them to serve as deterrent for others. Because a lot of people are hiding behind social media and are issuing threats in the region. and it's putting fear in the life, putting fear in journalists who are working in the region. It is not only about the conflict. If you have reported something around the conflict and you are under threat, you will not have that peace of mind to work on other beats.
Dominic, I'm wondering whether you received any feedback from the IGP when you presented a petition to him.
We are yet to receive feedback from the IGP on that. But what I know is that the police command in the region have invited the regional chairman, and they have taken a few steps to help him to go about his work, because
it sounds like a very long procedure. We just heard my colleague there talking about the threats he has been receiving, and you talk about the IGP having received the petition. He has told you nothing yet. You are corresponding with the regional police commander. Nothing concrete.
Yes, we are hoping they these things involve some investigation and then working with other stakeholders to get the results that you want. So we are pursuing, and it is not like we have given the thing to them and we are sleeping. We are getting to them to get results, to get our journalists protected in the region to go about their work.
Thank you very much. Dominic Logi is the General Secretary of the GJA. Evans.
You're still live here on News 90s on Joy 99.7 FM. Jem, I'm going to put you on the spot here. If you have a conflict between prophecy and science, where will you pitch your tent?
Science.
Good one. You didn't hesitate. Well, it appears there's a dilemma now.
Because science can be validated. Okay. Prophecy, not so.
Look, I want to hear from you. 055-111-11997. Jem just put her 2 cents on the matter. You've heard it. What's yours? But it appears that's the dilemma now that the camp of Dr. Bawumia and Kennedy Agyapong are facing, because there are two sides to this equation when it comes to who wins Saturday's primary. As you know, it's 3 more days before the MPP go to the polls to elect their flag bearer for the 2028 elections. Now, on the side of numbers, as in science, where you pitch your tent, is Global Info Analytics. Its executive director, Musa Dankwa, says months of polling show Dr. Bawumia will win the elections. But on the side of the prophets is Bernard L. Bernard, head pastor of Spirit Life Revival Ministry in Accra. He's insisting Kennedy Agyapong will emerge victorious. He hasn't validated it, but he has in the realm of the spirit. So he has a prophecy. Now, in 3 days, delegates will obviously make a decision and determine whether the data or the prophecy proves right. Musa Dankwado is risking it all, including his reputation, placing it on the line, insisting Bawumia will win. He spoke to my colleague, Obi, on Asempa, where he talks quite a bit about what he believes to be an outcome that you can expect on Saturday. Now, I'll tell you what he says pretty shortly, but something we need to do just to weigh up the various sides of this, and our research desk has been combing through the data, but also a sense of the prophecies over the last few weeks in the lead up to Saturday. Yesterday, we looked at the science, right? The data available from several polls. That told us a story. But we also need to look at the prophecies over time and see whether we're seeing a trend. So let's start. Let's just remind ourselves of what the data says. When you put the 8 polls together, who is winning?
Yes. So there are a number of polls, but then we decided to go with 8 of them because they had enough sample size, and then we could clearly trace the ownership of these polls. So we had 8 of them, and then when we aggregated the 8 polls together, we saw that Dr. Bawumia was leading with 45.9%, followed by Kennedy Agyapong with 37.3%. And then the other candidates, I think Brian came in third with about 5%, and then Dr. Editrum and then Kwabena Agyapong came in last with a little over 1%. So from the polls or from the science, we have heavy concentration on Dr. Bawumia winning the race, and followed closely by.
So he's on course to win according to aggregated poll.
According to aggregated poll, yes.
Good. Well, what about the prophecies? What do we know? over the period?
So over the period, we've seen 11 prophecies so far.
Okay.
And then they've been split. So we have 8 of them saying Dr. Bawumia will win the race. And then
Okay, sorry. Let's go again. How many prophecies now?
So we have 11 in total.
11 in total. 8 say Bawumia wins.
8 say Bawumia wins. And then 3 say Kennedy Agyapong wins the race. So we have, again, if you look at the science and then the spiritual.
The science align very, very firmly with the spiritual.
Exactly. And from the 8 of them, we have, for Bawumia, we have the prominence being Dr. Nigel Gacy.
Says Bawumia will win.
She says Bawumia will win. And then also Eric Boahen of Rain House Chapel also says Bawumia will win. But then if you look at the 3 men of God that say Kennedy Agyapong will win, we have the El Bernard, and then Samuel Owusu of Potterville Church, and then Alex Armstrong of Potter's Family Church. So again, we have 3 for Kennedy Agyapong and then 8 for Bawumia.
Same God, same prophecy, different winners. How is that even possible? But the science is very clear. I mean, 8 polls all pointing to a Bawumia win.
Yeah.
Right? And if you put the 11 prophecies together, 3 completely depart from the rest of the 8. But presumably, God is giving the prophecies to these men of God. I mean, God has been inconsistent on the subject, at least from the prophets themselves, as we have sort of managed to track. Okay, interesting indeed. But the chief scientist who's leading this, I guess you can put it the gold standard when it comes to polling so far, Musa Dankwa, is going a step further. He's putting his whole career on the line here.
It being too fast for that. We have look.
Why year polling for how many years?
Maybe 7 years now. Then 2019 and we're in 2026.
And so far, all the major predictions are why year poll wise.
It being too fast for that. We have look. The only thing we got wrong in the last election was 2 elections in Takoradi and Sekendi.
Okay.
And Takoradi, we knew the guy was losing. As how he won, I don't know.
Sitting MP, no?
Yes. He was losing.
But for Sekendi,
he was surprised because we thought he was going to win.
You thought Mesa would win?
Yes, and he lost. It means among
and you put down the 7 years credibility our build on this.
Look. There was no difficult election for me than Akwetia.
Yeah, than Akwetia.
Forget about the national election.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What else would I do? We have done the work. We've interviewed. Look, in the last month alone, we interviewed 10,000.
Yes.
In the previous month, no, at least 2,500 or 3,000. So who did one? We have spoken to people randomly, and this is the voice of the people. And we say, well, it's the voice of God.
Okay. Yes.
Where is science?
Yes.
Look. Anywhere else in the world, they don't fight the polls. Open will say the polls are done credibly with the right methodology and approach.
This is really fascinating.
Interesting.
Because really, if you look at it as research desk has pointed out, there are 8 prophecies that back Musa Dankwa's position. Even if you want to play in the realm of the spirits and religion, etc. 8 of them say Bawumia wins. Only 3 say he loses to Kennedy. You have to make of that what you will. But let's hear the El Bernard. What does he say?
He's maintaining his prophecy, and he says it's undeniable will of the people.
Kennedy Agyapong, the shock to the system, and the flag bearer, the NPP never expected.
That's the whole message there. Obia Drenbe and the A no Baba boom, and Ken will come.
Ken Waba. Ken Waba.
And you are putting 27 years of prophetic ministry on the line.
I'm putting 27 years of hearing and seeing, 18 years of pastoring the church in Accra on the line.
If it doesn't come true, what should happen to you?
If it comes to pass, what will happen to me?
I'll tell you that in the answer me the new year. If it doesn't happen, what should happen to you?
When you are dealing with God, remove if.
That's something to what? Or you one
my mention the obi mpocho enwuma
mehu pa
so bi beka cho de onyam na metin obejeza
de onyawo na tie no me njindi
nti asna menwu pa nja na meka che hon nti I don't see why or them me be consider if my mention the Kennedy Agyapong we win ma or prepare we koko face 2028 election.
Listen, let's bring in Kwesi Kwarteng. I wonder how the camps themselves are evaluating this. It's very interesting times indeed. And here's the thing, though. Historically, the campaigns have a huge dose of spirituality to it. The candidates go to churches, etc., get prayers and blessings from their pastors. So it's a very important part of the campaign. Let me ask Kwesi Kwarteng, who speaks for Kennedy Agyapong. And Kwesi, I'm just curious whether going to the church and getting the blessing of a pastor and listen to prophecy has featured at all in your campaigns.
Evans, good evening to you and your listeners. Team Ken believes in prophecies. Team Ken also believes in science. But our confidence and belief is in the delegates. Over 211,000 delegates. We sold our message to them. They've received it. They've assured us that the party is poised for change. They've also assured us that even in the spirit of revival, we need a new direction. We need a new leadership, a strong leadership. We not just need a flag bearer, but a winnable candidate. A candidate that will be accepted by all Ghanaians. A candidate that has a cross-party appeal. And the delegates have assured us that Kennedy Agyapong sounds off. And 31st, they are going to give him the nod. So yes, we've heard the prophecies. Of course, some aligns with us. Some also do not align with us. Just like the polls, there are some that predict and project Kennedy to be the winner. There are others that also even discredit him to a larger extent. But most important, just like the Musa Dankwa one, before the last 2020, Musa Dankwa gave Ken 17%. Discrediting him totally. But Ken again pulled a surprise and gave a show of 37%. Today he's giving us 25%. Initially, recall just a month ago, he gave us 33%. And now, all of a sudden, within 4 weeks, we've rather come down to 25%. We respect his works. We respect also the prophecy that has come. But most important point that we have to let Ghanaians know that we are not banking our hopes on prophecies or polls. At the end of the day, if there is any greater pool, if there is any greater prophecy, the manifestation of that prophecy and the manifestation of those polls will be done by the 31st, by the delegates on the 31st of January, which we are confident will come out.
That is as scientific as it gets, because the delegates, they vote and they decide. That's the reality there. But Kwesi, have you? Our research team tracked 11 prophecies over the period, right, leading into Saturday, and 8 of these prophecies say Bawumia wins. Only 3 say Kennedy wins. And then you look at the science. The science also, if you put the 8 polls that we tracked together and strike the average, again says Bawumia wins. And Kennedy comes in second place. That definitely poses a problem, does it not? I mean, it gives you a sense that if you look in the spirit realm, Bawumia wins. If you did science, Bawumia wins.
Evans, unfortunately, I do not have the lenses to look in the spirit realm, so I'm unable to question, in absolute terms, such propositions. But I know that they say the voice of God is the voice of the people. I also know, like as a Christian, the Bible rightly says that believe in my prophets and believe in my word. The word of God is supreme to any other position or proposition. And the word of God has given us an assurance that if we have confidence and trust in God himself and work hard, go to the delegates, campaign to them, God himself will reward us. For us, that is what we are doing as a team. Of course, it is not the number of polls or the number of prophecies that at the end of the day will make the decision. The decision rests with over 211,000 polling station executives. They also have their own God, they also have their own belief system, they have their faith. But most important is that they are aware of the pressing issues confronting the party. They are aware that their decision will make or unmake the party. And they believe that, especially looking at the assurances that they've given us, they tell us that 2026, 31st of December, January, they believe that when Ken comes, it will augur well for the party. So, it's like I said, it's not the number of polls or the number of prophecies. But at the end of the day, it is the decision of the delegates that will stand.
And Kwesi, a friend of mine whispered to me just a short while ago. He's Onojasho's brother. He says to me that God reveals to redeem. And so if indeed he's revealed to 8 prophets that you're losing, you have time to fast and pray to redeem yourself from that.
but as a believer, I also believe that God is not a contradictory God. He is a God of consistency. God doesn't speak in two languages. Today he says A, tomorrow he says B. God doesn't say white, the following day he says black. And if you have seen most of these prophecies, I mean, there are some that sometimes they give a window to run away from. I have my biasness for Prophet Bernard Nelson Shaw. At least, if not for anything at all, I was there in his church. It was in my presence when he prophesied about the Bible issue. 4 years after us, then the prophecy came to pass. So I have every basis to have confidence in his word, as the word of God or the Bible enjoins us to do. But of course, the other prophets, I'm not able to speak for them. I'm also not in the position to discredit them. But most important is that whether or not they indeed saw, or of course they have also, we remember recently what Musa Dankwa said, that even some of them has been conniving with prophets to release polls results to them, to pretend or suggest as though they are predictions. So, I mean, some of these things, they are undertones that we may be unable to discuss on media. But most important thing is that 31st will vindicate the right prophets from the untrue prophets. Maybe they are not untrue, but that's what they saw, and we are unable to challenge. Even you and myself, we don't have the spiritual lenses.
I certainly don't.
It's a feedback for us to intercede and pray to God, but we are confident that God will grant us victory.
Kwesi Kwatin, thank you very much. He speaks for the Kennedy Agyapong camp. Interesting conversation there, Jam.
Very interesting. Well, you see, one thing that is clear is that polls or prophecies do not win an election. Voters actually matter. So the delegates will decide on Saturday, and we'll be here to bring you the results. Evans.
And George is here. I know George is like me. He's not been to church in like forever.
Please.
He hasn't prayed in like forever.
I go to church. I fellowship. Sunday I was in church.
Which church?
Action Chapel, Pentex Road.
You went to church?
First service, yeah. Oh, I don't think I'm interested about who saw me there or not. But
God saw you.
God saw you.
I went to church. I went to first service at Action Chapel, Pentex Road.
Same question then to you. Where do you stand on this? If you have to pitch your tent, you have this conflict between science and prophecy on your life. Where do you pitch your tent?
I know the prophecy, if it's coming from God, has a tendency to override the science. My God is a God of order, and that's a fact. So there wouldn't be contradicting prophecies. Also, if that prophecy is taking away the glory to God to a human being, I'll question that.
Preach on.
Also question their fruits, you know them.
Oh, just capulentos. So, but here's the question to you, though. So, square the circle for me. How come then, as we tracked the prophecies, 11 prophecies, same God, given, prophesying through man, and yet 8 prophets say Bawumia wins, 3 say Kennedy wins. How does that happen?
The source of that prophecy.
But they all say the source.
I'm saying that if that prophecy is meant to again edify man, or rather edify God, it would separate the wheat from the chaff in the first place. That is it.
So on Saturday, we'll either learn the 8 prophets who faked the prophecy.
Yes, of course.
Or the 3 prophets. Any of them really could fake it, but we'll see which of them.
And actually, God refused to redeem. I mean, it wasn't meant for a public show. When it matters that prophecy has to be told to the whole nation, it would. But if it's meant for you, I don't need to come on air and broadcast it. I can tell you that this is the situation. Maybe you don't even need to go ahead and participate in the election at all. So I'm just saying, just test the source of that prophecy.
By the way, listen, let me invite our listeners to join us. If you're also watching us on Facebook, do so. Because I want an answer to that question. How do you explain the prophecy tracker we just brought to you? Same God, prophesying different outcomes to 11 prophets. 8 of them say Bawumia wins, 3 say Kennedy wins. Yeah, Jem?
Yes, Evans, but the big question is, are we talking about the same God?
If they are prophets, it must be the same God.
Who ordained them as prophets even in the first place?
I don't know. They claim to be prophets.
Okay. By their fruits, you know them.
I guess Saturday, close of 2 p.m., we'll know the fruits.
Yeah.
But if you listen to us and have an explanation, please volunteer. 055-1111-997. George has it covered. Myself and Gemma, we lost. So we need that clarity. What do you have in business, George?
Well, events coming up, improved economic conditions and slow inflation rate forces Bank of Ghana to cut its key lending rate by some significant margin to 15.5%. And President John Mahama highlights Gold Board's role in helping the country take control of its gold exports. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Synthesis tanks and Pepsodent, Herbal and Charcoal. You're welcome back to business on Newsnight. Now, improved economic conditions and slow inflation rate has forced the Bank of Ghana to cut its policy rate by some significant margin. The central bank dropped its key lending rate to commercial banks to 15.5%. There is more in this report.
15.5% policy rate cut might be the lowest that we've recorded since March 2022. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, the Bank of Ghana governor gave further reasons for the cut in the policy rate to this new level.
In taking the policy decision, the committee, the MPC, acknowledged that macroeconomic conditions have improved significantly. With stability largely achieved, the focus of policy now is gradually shifting toward consolidating these gains and supporting stronger real sector recovery.
Could a continuous cut in the policy rate result in inflation spike? Well, the governor has been downplaying these concerns.
If you notice throughout the policy statement, the MPC statement, we kept talking about tight monetary policy conditions. Throughout last year, yes, we were easing. However, we were sterilizing at the same time. And if you look at the data in terms of sterilization costs, you see that we were not loosening the anchor.
Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Siam has also been given reasons for the decline in net gold holdings over the past year.
At the last MPC, I remember we spoke about a rebalancing of our portfolio. And what we did was to look at our peers, our peer countries. We observed that most of them were holding between 20 and 25% of their portfolios, as gold. At the time, we were holding a little over 40%. And so decision was made to diversify, and that is what you see. But the FX that was earned as a result is there.
Has also been given some insight in terms of what to expect when it comes to publication of the 2025 financials in March this year.
Our mandate is to ensure price stability. Our mandate is to ensure financial stability. Now, in carrying out this mandate, yes, you will incur costs. But then that cost has to be put in proper perspective. So you will see in our accounts when it is published that, for example, the cost of monetary policy operations. And then you also have things like revaluation costs, they are also there. And not to talk about our good friend, the gold-related expenses.
On recapitalization of banks, the Bank of Ghana governor revealed that 21 out of the 23 commercial banks have met the new capital requirement. However, the remaining 2 have been given up to March this year.
And that is a business desk report. Meanwhile, economist Dr. Duo Susakodie has described the policy rate cut as expected. He's, however, worried about how banks will respond quickly to this development.
We had predicted that policy rates will be somewhere below 15% by the end of 2026. We are just in January and it's now 15.5. As the governor said, he expects this to lower lending rates. The private sector plays a key role in the economy. Out of about 12 million Ghanaian workers, 10 million are employed. Over 10 million are employed by the private sector. So you have to do everything for the private sector to flourish in the economy. And one of the indicators of cost of production in the country is the lending rate. And so we are all happy to see the policy rate coming down. And we hope that it will have a positive impact on the reduction of the lending rate. That's what we want to see. I don't think that it will have any much impact on inflation, because maybe someone will expect that once you raise the policy rate, inflation also pick up. I think the city stability or appreciation, whatever you may call it, the strength of the city is okay.
Senior economics lecturer at the University of Ghana and executive director of CPS Ghana, Dr. Edu Owusu Sarkodie. Now, President John Mahama says the establishment of Gold Board has positioned Ghana to take full control of the export of gold from the country. This, he believes, has helped the country export about 104 tons of gold from the small-scale sector. Last year, the president made this disclosure in a keynote address at the opening of the 2026 Africa Trade Summit here in Accra.
We're exercising greater sovereignty over our natural resources. The establishment of the Ghana Gold Board has given us greater control over our gold exports. In 2024, total gold exports from the small-scale mining sector was said to amount to 63 tons. Of this volume, the foreign exchange repatriation accounted for only about 40 tons of the exported gold. 23 tons of forex did not come back. Since the establishment of the Gold Board in April 2025, exports from the small-scale mining sector to date have increased to 104 tons, with 100% of the foreign exchange repatriated through our central bank.
And that is President John Mahama. To the stock market, about 5 shares or 5 stocks on the market today show change in prices. Ben's oil palm plantation, for instance, was up by 4 pesos, closed at 62 Ghana cedis, 60 pesos as well. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Evans.
George, many are sending messages about your, very interesting, intriguing, stellar interpretation of biblical principles around prophecy. I can't share all on air, but I'm going to be reading a few of your messages on this particular subject. And by the way, there's an interesting story that our colleague George, our colleague Kwite had pointed me to, which is very similar to what we're dealing with this Bawumia Kennedy prophecies. He mentions this case of Micaiah in the Bible, prophet Micaiah, about King Ahab, I believe, who was going to battle, and 400 prophets said he should go into battle and he will win. And Micaiah was called, and he was the only prophet who says if he goes, he will die, and Israel will be scattered. And he was actually imprisoned for standing against 400 other prophets. It turns out that the King Ahab goes into battle, indeed exactly as Micaiah had prophesied happened. So one prophet against 400. That tells you the story.
There's only one God.
There's only one God. And in this case, very similar. There are 8 prophets who say Bawumia wins, and only 3 who say Kennedy wins. If you're going by the Micaiah, the Micaiah principle in the Bible, it's very, very interesting outcomes indeed. Let's do some sports now.
And in sports, at 8 p.m. tonight, the final round of the games in the group phase of the UEFA Champions League kicks off with Ghana's Antoine Semenyo's Man City hosting Galatasaray at the Etihad Stadium. Thomas Partey's Villarreal face Bayer Leverkusen, while Kamaldeen Suleiman's Atlanta travel away to take on Union Saint-Gilloise. Other exciting fixtures to look out for include PSG versus Newcastle, Real Madrid versus Benfica, Copenhagen versus Barcelona, and Napoli versus Chelsea, which will be live on Hits 103.9 FM with the Joy Sports team. Now, ahead of that game, Antonio Conte has been speaking about reuniting with his former club.
I want to tell thanks to Mr. Abramovich, and because with Marina, they gave me the opportunity to have my first experience abroad. And it was a great experience because we are talking about a fantastic club with a great vision, with you breathe the mentality, the winning mentality. They sign important players, young players, but sometimes there is the situation that people speak about the difference, old player and a young player. I think everyone, every coach wants to sign young players, but if a young players pays 60, 70, 80, 120 millions like Casado or 130 million like Fernandez, it's not for all the club, especially in Italy.
So that's Antonio Conte. And it's also important to note that Arsenal, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, Sporting Lisbon, Man City, Atletico Madrid, Atlanta, and Inter Milan, PSG, and Juventus have already booked their qualification for the next round. For the game between Chelsea and Napoli, for instance, Chelsea have already qualified, but they need to beat Napoli to secure automatic qualification, or else it means they'll have to play a playoff in the next round. For Napoli, though, it's a must-win or they'll be out of the competition.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Now, Evan, Supreme Court Judge Justice Yonny Kulendi is a proud old student of Tindamba Primary School, and he is leading the charge against the Wa Municipal Assembly's plan to demolish the school. Justice Yonny Kulendi is not mincing words as he vows to use every legal means to stop the demolition. As tensions escalate, the old students are gearing up for a legal battle with Justice Kulendi at the helm to oppose plans to demolish the 70-year-old school for a proposed 24-hour economy market. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The school currently has a population of 370 pupils. The Tindamba Primary School, since its establishment 70 years ago, has produced sway for people who are contributing to the development of the country and beyond. Despite the huge and significant contributions made by the school in the socio-economic development of the people, there are plans by the Wa Municipal Assembly, for that matter, the government, in the next couple of weeks to raise the school down to ground zero for a 24-hour economy market. Dr. Abudu Sakara is a member of the 1968-year group and a retired staff of the University of Ghana.
Coming to demolish a very important school that has some kind of historical reason in our community for the purpose of building a market. Because a lot of people have passed through the school. So if you are demolishing it, you are trying to what? It will disrupt our attachment to the school, our emotional attachment to the school. The best thing for them to do is look for a different alternative.
The pupils will be relocated from the area to the Tindamba Junior High School and the Nuriye and Huriye Islamic schools, where they will receive part of their classrooms for use in the interim. Muazu Mohammed Akram is the chairman of the school management committee.
Let's say the chief executive or the minister or any of the relevant institution, do they pick them from the market? They are educated. That is the reason why they are picked.
Worried about the development to convert a relic to a 24-hour economy market, Supreme Court Judge Justice Yonny Kulendi himself, an old student of the school, together with other senior old students of the school, engaged municipal and regional directors of education and the Wallo Overlord, now for City People the Fourth, and the subjects on the issue. Justice Kulendi was unequivocal and blunt, saying they won't allow the school to be collapsed for a market.
We will not, with all due respect, we will give you the hardest fight of your life, and we will use every lawful means to resist any plan to turn that school into a market. It's not going to happen. We'll take it left, right, center, and fight it with every lawful and legitimate tactic that is permissible in a democracy.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Let's quickly get some clarity on this and see if the school management committee have had any word from the assembly if they are ready to rescind their decision to build this 24-hour market there. Muaza Mohammed is a member of the school management committee. Mr. Mohammed, thanks for your time here on News 9. Have you heard anything from the assembly, and are they reconsidering their decision?
Good evening. Greeting to all cherished listeners of Joy. I think the Municipal Assembly on their own did not consult the school management board before putting up this. So due to that, the student plus the PTA, the teachers were all not informed of the decision to demolish the school and relocate it. So it came as a surprise through the municipal director, which got us informed with the decision of the municipal chief executive.
In the interest of time, I believe since this you have engaged them?
Yes, we've engaged the parents.
Now, what about the municipal assembly itself?
The municipal assembly did not engage it up to date we are speaking.
Have you reached out to them?
The old boys reached out to them. I understand they declined speaking with them, but they told them the matter is with the Overlord of Wa.
As we speak now, it's the overlord of WA who have to decide whether or not they can go ahead and demolish and build the 24 hour.
That is what they are saying. We can't ascertain whether that is true, but that is what they said to the old boys, not us. We are not even engaged. Up to date, I'm speaking with you.
But
we are not
clear.
here engaged.
You're going to resist the demolition of the school.
I think that is the best thing, because you can't change school for market. Supposing it is market, and the municipal chief executive appointment, would you have taken him for a market? That is because of the education.
And it makes a difference to have a Supreme Court judge in your corner, does it not?
Oh, yes. He's an old boy who is continuing 20 lawyer Abu Sakara, and there are many old boys. Even one of the sub-chiefs of Wa, Bosana, Ali Pilpo, is also an old boy. So we have a lot of old boys.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Muazza Mohammed is a member of the school management committee, and a few messages coming through, Jem, about this very interesting subject of the prophets and Bawumia versus Ken. Musa says, Evans, we appeal to imams, clergymen, and traditional leaders to pray for the MPP as a party is at crossroads. History shows that whenever they embark on such exercises, the outcomes are often unfortunate and unpalatable. And Nana on the Sprinters Road says, Evans, do we really have prophets in this country? Jem, one attempt an answer. I think I have put you in a tight corner enough in the last 1 hour. Adams Inteshi says all these so-called prophets have not received any message from God. They are just giving predictions to make themselves popular. And then you have one from the USA, signs because, and this to the question, you have somebody who's backing the position you took. It's a science because there is no single true prophet today. God no longer uses prophets. And he quotes a chapter from the Bible, Hebrews 1:1. The Bible is the ultimate, he says. And then you have, I am not surprised by the, he says, hypothetical conduct of, says Martin Yindam, and talking about the case decided by the Supreme Court today, the MP for Banda and his fellow members of the MPP. He says, I advise Martin Yindam and his fellow members of the MPP with James 3:10, which says, out of the same mouth come praise and cursing. Well, this has been a very biblical news night. My name is Evans Mensah.
My name is Gemma up here.
And guess who is here with Strong and Sassy?
Hi, Evans.
Hi, Akofa.
So I wanted to, ask you this before I get into what we're discussing today. What would you say has been your January so far? Like, if you're describing how January has been for you so far, what would you say?
Very good. January is my best month.
Oh, okay, so when it comes to the money, everything is
money.
okay. Yeah.
That's a good question. Today for me is like the 55th day of January. I'm still counting.
Still counting?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have 5 more days to hit 60 days in January. So yeah.
So our conversation is about money, how we take care of our money, accountability, and everything else. Because the conversation has always been that January is a very long month.
Too long.
Yeah, too long. So we'll get into that.
Already
for you, yeah. So we're getting into that today on the show.
Jam is not entering into this conversation because she's loaded.
I know. I can see
cool.
that. I can see that.
She's cool.
But yeah, that's the conversation we're having on Strong and
But
Sassy
women,
today.
shouldn't have a problem.
You think?
It's strong and sassy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You loaded.
We get the money from the guys. If the guys are not, if they
that's
don't
my
have
point.
the money, then we still are not
The
loaded.
thing about women and getting money from guys is the guy would rather starve and give the money to the girl. It happens all the time.
Oh, we love you guys for that. So yeah, we'll tune into Strong and Sassy right after this.
I can't
We'll
wait.
talk about it.